You're watching Plant Life Moments. I'm your host, Casey Bell. Let's start off with the first moment, Veganly Cooking Moment, where we share a vegan recipe with you. Today's recipe is what I like to call fruit water. This recipe can be used on any kind of cereals for breakfast. So oatmeal, wheat cereals, rice, warm cereals, quinoa, things of that nature. You know, the warm cereals you cook in water. The good thing about this recipe is not only does it causes you to not need milk for your cereal, but it also gives you fruit so that you can have fruit for breakfast, which you're supposed to. And because of its natural sweetness, you also don't need to add sugar to your cereals. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a pan and you're going to put water in it. Basically, the more you're trying to make, the more water you need, as well as more fruit you need. And if it's just a one serving, maybe a cup, half a cup of water, but you basically figure out how much you're going to need. So you put the water in a pan or a pan type of pot, and you put it on heat, and you let it boil. Once it gets to a boil, you throw your frozen fruit in. Now you can either use fresh fruit that you've frozen yourself, or you can simply, as you can see what I'm doing, is buy frozen fruit from the frozen section, food section, and voila. You basically heat it until the fruit has been defrosted. You take it off the heat and you let it cool down a bit until it's about room temperature. As you can see, I am using oatmeal for this recipe, but you can use any warm cereal, like I said, wheat, rice, quinoa, whichever one you prefer. There's a lot of warm cereals out there other than oatmeal. So once it's warmed down, you can put, as you can see, isn't it amazing? You can put your fruit and the fruit water right on your cereal. And the good thing about it, like I said earlier, is most people add, butter, salt, and sugar to their warm cereals. But with this, you don't need to add anything because the fruit water and the fruit is going to naturally make it sweet and make it taste good. And as well, you won't need to use milk because of the fruit water. Now, if you would like to use this on cold cereals, you would let it sit until it's room temperature, and then you would probably need a funnel, and you can either pour this into a bowl and put it in the refrigerator, wrap it, put it in the refrigerator, or you can put it into a pitcher. I actually put it in a jar and I put it in the refrigerator until it got cold, and then as you can see here, you just pour it right on your cold cereal and it tastes delicious. Again, you get your fruit, and again, you don't need milk, and again, it's natural sugar from the fruit, so it's naturally sweet, so you don't have to add added sugar. And so that is fruit water. That's it for this recipe. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
Jordan, a proud vegan, shares her journey to becoming a vegan and tips for those thinking about it. Information on gaining weight, bodybuilding, vitamin D deficiency, keto, and so much more on a vegan diet. For more information, go to veganproducts.org.
That recipe sure looked delicious. It's now time for Health Nut Moment, where we share some health tips with you about being vegan. This is your Health Nut Moment. Did you know that milk does not do a body good? In fact, there are many negative side effects that milk can have on your body. Milk is said to be healthy because of the nutrients that's in it. But do you know where those nutrients originate? They come from plants that the cows eat. Cow's milk is for baby cows. As you may know, mammals are the only creatures on Earth, the only living beings on Earth that cannot consume their parents' food. So their mother has to feed them her milk until they have the teeth and a mature and a developed digestive system so that they can eat solid foods. The nutrient that the mother gives them through their milk comes from the plants that she eats. We as humans can eat fruits and vegetables, seeds and nuts and grains that are high in calcium. Some, just a few, not a lot, of those foods you can eat that are high in calcium, in fact, have a lot more calcium in them than a glass of milk. Collard greens, spinach, turnip greens, kale, mustard greens, beet greens, pak choi, Swiss chard, sweet potatoes, okra, onions, avocados, Brazil nuts, almonds, sesame seeds, celery, and green beans, and of course, so much more. Drinking milk can cause some negative side effects such as acne. It may worsen eczema and can be a trigger for rosacea. It can cause allergies, constipation, colic, and diarrhea. Other serious known reactions to milk are wheezing, difficulty breathing, bloody stool. Drinking 3 or more glasses of milk a day may increase the risk of bone fractures in women. Milk can also lead to prostate or ovarian cancer. Other side effects include nausea, abdominal pain, and abdominal bloating. So you do not need milk to get your nutrients. You can simply eat the fruits and vegetables or the plants, similar to the cows and the other vegan animals that get their nutrients through the plants. That has been your Health Nut Moment. I'm Casey Bell. We'll be right back. This is your Health Nut Moment.
The American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, ASPCA, was the first humane society to be established in North America and is, today, one of the largest in the world. The organization was founded on the belief that animals are entitled to kind and respectful treatment at the hands of humans and must be protected under the law. The ASPCA's mission, as stated by founder Henry Berg in 1866, is to provide effective means for the prevention of cruelty to animals throughout the United States. To donate, call 800-628-0028 or go to aspca.org. Visit their website for more information.
Now let's move on to our last moment. Vegan Dining Moment, or Vining Moment, where we showcase a vegan restaurant or a restaurant with vegan options. This is your vegan dining or vining moment. Chef Will, the Palate, located in Huntsville, Alabama, and he offers vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free meals. For more information, you can visit chefwill.yolasite.com. You can check out his menu. He has many things such as Chef Will Pizza, French toast, spinach dipwich, a blackened tofu over jasmine rice or red Indian rice, gluten-free Roma pasta, fresh veggie snacks with homemade ranch or homemade balsamic vinaigrette, and so many more. If you'd like more information, you can call 256-617-6052. He's located again in Huntsville, Alabama. For more information, you can go to chefwill.yolasite.com. This has been your Vining Moment. We'll be right back after this. Are you a vegan who would like to share one of your recipes with us? Or maybe you're a nutritionist or a vegan doctor that would like to share some health information about being a vegan? Or you're a vegan restaurant owner or a restaurant owner with vegan options and would like to share one of your favorite recipes or one of the most ordered recipes with us. Go to our website for more information on how to share your information and be featured on Plant Life Moments. Well, that's all the time we have for today's Plant Life Moments. We hope to see you again for some more moments. on the next episode. See you then. Essays from Dysfunctional Families, a book written by Dean K. Brent exposing his family's and friends' secrets. Literary Betrayal is his family's and friends' reactions. 2 books and 1, uniquely written by author Casey Bell. Available now. Hi, I am Casey Bell, host of Writer to Writer Interviews. I had the pleasure of interviewing Dakari Beckham, author of Gorillaz In The Bay. I asked him 5 questions about his writing experience as well as questions pertaining to his book. Author of the Gorillaz In The Bay book series and newly released Tears of a Gangsta. He is a talented author whose work is nothing short of amazing. Dakari's work provides readers with an authentic glimpse into street life. He currently writes urban fiction, but plans to cross over to other genres. The author was born and raised in Northern California. The author experienced a challenging childhood, riddled with abuse, neglect, and witnessing violence firsthand. Dakari's early years were dark and pained. Due to the dysfunction that surrounded him, he was often uprooted and moved from place to place. After various placements with relatives, he found himself in foster care. He eventually turned to the streets, which consequently led to a lot of bad choices. In turn, those bad choices led to incarceration. There is more to this author than the street life. He always had a love for writing. In school, he excelled in creative writing. He would always live out the story as he was writing. Through his most difficult times, he used writing to escape from his surroundings. In addition to writing, he creates poetry, writes songs, and does artwork. He loves spending time with family, fishing, sports, and helping youth. He is happy that he's finally able to share his writing with others, putting his passion to work. Now let's get into this interview. Alright, so first question. First of all, tell me a little bit about yourself, as far as being a writer.
Besides being a writer, I'm a family man. I believe in loyalty. I study a lot on spirituality and history. Trying to find, I'm trying to find answers to questions that most people don't ask.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I'm a nerd at heart, so I love to learn. And I like making people happy.
That's good. So, when did you start writing Gorillaz in the Bay, and explain the title, what inspired the title?
Okay, well, I originally wrote Gorillaz in the Bay 2000, and I started in 2007. However, I tend to procrastinate a lot of times. So, the book drawn on. But to make the long story short, I finally finished it and started typing it on the USB, and I had it all complete. And unfortunately, I threw away the written pages and damaged my USB.
Oh, goodness.
I had the prologue, and I had the last chapter, and I rewrote it all in December of 2016. And but the title's interesting because the book that I wrote and the title didn't go hand in hand. It was initially called something else, but by the time I finished the story, because I may have an idea for a book and I'll start writing it, but the story tells itself in my head. So it changed so much that by the time I was done, that title no longer fit the story. I don't know if that makes sense, or if you're familiar with that, but
that has happened to me a few times.
yeah.
What I planned to write, when I started writing, it didn't. Something else wrote itself.
Yeah,
Yes.
Instead of trying to keep it on board, I let it write itself and tell itself, and it makes the books better. And although the world is just now getting familiar with Gorillaz In The Bay, so it's just one series or one book, I've actually written 9.
Oh wow.
So they're coming out. They're coming out a little slower, but I have a unique handwriting, and then getting it typed up and then edit it and re-edit it. My rewrite took time until I found the app on Google that allows you to transfer handwriting to type.
Oh, okay.
It just speeds the process. But my editor, my publisher, and members of my team helped me come up with the new title.
Awesome.
I think we came up with 10 titles and then voted on.
So tell us just a little bit about the book, the storyline, and what inspired you to write it.
The inspiration is easy. It's based on a lot of true events in my life, as well as in the life of people that I know very closely. That's where it originally started. And classes, you have 3 friends, Jason Voorhees, T-Rada, as well as Kamika. They started an organization that T-Rada and Voorhees had been dreaming about and planning for years. And the 3 of them, with their loyalty, they start to build and form this team. The team becomes an organization, but it's a family. Most people in the organization were related. They rise to the upper echelon in the Bay Area street life. Unfortunately, in that life and along the way, there's a strain that pulls on you. And T-Rod fell victim to that strain. The power that the drug use, not being able to control or maintain a hold on either one. And so unfortunately, I don't want to give it away, but unfortunately, he's left with an option. He can destroy what he built, or he can turn over his legacy to the 2 brothers whom he left.
Oh, okay.
And in return, they return their loyalty to building his legacy.
Okay. Sounds very interesting. So have you, in the many books you've written, have you ever encountered writer's block? And if you have, how did you deal with it?
Okay, so I do. I have 2 methods, right?
Okay.
The first one, as I write my stories, I try to envision that I'm watching a movie.
Okay.
Right? And so when I get writer block, I just think about what will naturally happen next in the movie. Or if it was in actually happening in real time, what would actually happen next in the story? Right? I mean, in real life. Such as, let's say, what if the characters come home and his fiance is cheating on him or whatnot? I don't want to make something too extraordinary or unbelievable. I would like to actually put myself in that position emotionally, mentally, and psychologically, and figure out how would I respond to it. That tends to help me a lot. The next one, you might laugh at me, right, because it's a little unorthodox, but if that doesn't work for me, I tend to pick up a book and read it. Now, I'll pick up a book like totally off the subject. Like I'll pick up a Nora Roberts, a Jackie Collins, or a Lee Child or something, and just start reading their novel. And it inspires me. Somehow while I'm reading, my subconscious is thinking. And before I know it, sometimes I get a chapter, sometimes 2, into the book, and then I'll just put it down and finish my story.
I've actually seen that written somewhere, ways to unblock writer's block, and it says read books. So it's actually, yeah.
Okay, and the other was I thought I was weird.
It really, I mean, I think it's because when you have writer's block, you need to take a break from what you're doing. Sometimes they say take a walk, but one thing it did say was just read, and forget about what you're writing, and before you know it, it'll come to you.
Cause see,
So,
I haven't done any research on it, but my own little personal thought is writer's block comes when you try to overthink it, when you're overly working your brain.
yeah,
So if that's the case, and that is how it happens, it makes sense because once you relax and start reading, then your conscious and your subconscious separate and go back to the dimensions and that they should be in, instead of getting wrapped around each other.
exactly. So what encouraged you to write? Because I know when I started publishing books, there was a lot of people who came to me saying they wanted to write, and they've never done it, and they've given me all the reasons why. And one of the things I hear a lot is people say things like, well, I don't think I'm good enough, things of that sort. So when I hear people go out there and do it, I always wonder what caused you to have the courage to go ahead and write, to hopefully help others do what they say they want to do.
Okay, you can't get mad at me. You have to accept my answer.
Okay.
Deal?
Deal.
Okay, so I don't think it's courage on my end. I told you I'm a nerd at heart, so I love to learn. And most times, if I learn something or stumble across something that impresses me, like a perfect book, a perfect movie, a perfect story, a perfect poem, or a beautiful poem, whatever, no matter what it is, if I come across something that impresses me, then I always wonder, can I do that? So it started off as, I wonder if I can do that.
Oh, okay.
And then it came into, you know what, I bet you I can do it. So I bet myself that I can actually write a book. And it came from there. Once I bet myself, I had no choice but to either win or lose. I don't like to lose. So I started writing a book. And that's how it came about. As far as getting it published, once I was finished, a few close friends knew that I was working on it, and they were curious. So I let them read it. And they gave me such wonderful feedback that, we're most times in life, we are our worst enemies and worst critics.
Right.
So they gave me so much feedback, I didn't believe them. So I asked people that weren't so close, but they were associates that I knew that read, and I asked, hey, look what I stumbled across, read it, tell me what you think. And honestly, the reviews were good, so that's what encouraged me to publish it afterwards.
Cool. So, kind of off the subject, if you had the chance to have lunch or dinner and conversation with any author, whether they be dead or alive, which one would it be and why?
This interview is so enlightening. Who did Dakari say he would enjoy lunch and conversation with? An author, dead or alive? Don't go away, we'll have his answer right after this.
27 heartbeats.
And we are back to Writer's interview. Before we left, I asked Dakari, dead or alive, which one author would you enjoy lunch and conversation with and why? Let's get back into the conversation and figure out who he chose.
So, kind of off the subject, if you had the chance to have lunch or dinner and conversation with any author, whether they be dead or alive, which one would it be and why?
Okay, interesting. I have to choose one. Then I'll have to go up by Angela.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Yes.
Since from a child, her poetry, a little that I've learned about her life was just so inspiring. So that aha moment that I've to date, she's been the most influential in my life as far as with my creativity. So I would love to have lunch with her and just pick her brain, so to speak, but not in a question answer format. I would honestly just allow her to control the conversation. She can go wherever she wants. And I believe that I'm well versed enough in many subjects that I can keep up with her. So I'll just talk about whatever